My next guest is coming off a big win in his UFC debut, taking out Trevor Peek at UFC on ABC 5 back on June 24th. It's Chepe Mariscal back here on the program. Chepe, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. How about you?
I'm doing awesome, but I did not get my first win in the UFC this week, and congratulations. I was telling you about that off air. Outside of a finish, could that fight have gone any better? It was really entertaining, and it was a really impressive victory.
Yeah, no, well, obviously it was, every fighter wants to finish, and everything like that. But man, yeah, I'm glad I got to give a little piece of what I can do, a good display of what I could do in 10 days notice, I guess, at 155. Yeah, it's just awesome. It feels unreal sometimes, but my phone's been blowing up and I've been trying to stay away from my phone. So yeah, just taking it all in right now.
That's great. We talked before the fight about UFC jitters. That's something we hear. And I was kind of saying, we were kind of talking about how, you've fought so many fights on the regional scene that it probably wouldn't be a factor. But after the fact now, how are you feeling in there? Because it didn't look like it. You look like a veteran in there,
Well, what's crazy is like, man, I don't know if other fighters they experience it, but man, I was nervous. I was like shutting down a little bit. I was like, oh my God, like I'm in a
Really?
big scene. Like there's holy shit, the guy's in camera. Oh, that's me. And it's like, whoa, like it was just insane. It was like an awakening. And then once I got in the cage and then Bruce Buffer announced my name, I was like, oh, that's it. It's on. Like an on switch goes on every time I step in the cage. And
Yeah.
especially when, I have to watch myself because of the firefights, I was like, man, it's just like, yeah, it's hard to explain. It's still hard to explain. I'm still kind
Yeah.
of, I'm still figuring it out, like what my feelings were. But man, I was just, yeah, I was definitely on one.
Other than Trevor Peek having an iron chin and, seeming like a cyborg here, anything about you surprise him at all?
Yeah, obviously that I was like, oh my God, is this the new Korean zombie? Like this dude
Yeah.
cannot go down. Like I hit him with everything. I was hitting him so hard. I threw a punch, like two of these punches, like so hard. I felt them all the way to my shoulder, and I was like, holy shit! Like, and this dude just couldn't go down. And then, obviously I was kicking him, I was punching him, I was throwing him, I was trying to rattle him, something, And um, all respects to him for, obviously fighting me and staying on the fight. I know a lot of guys, some of them, quit on the stool. I haven't had that, but that night I just felt like I was like after the second round, I was like, man, I threw almost even the kitchen sink at this dude, and he won't go down. Like I was like, all right, well, I got 5 minutes to like keep doing, what I'm doing, and or try to get a finish, and hopefully have like great fight.
I mean, your cardio is great. I mean, you train in Denver already at elevation, but were you worried at all? Like, hey, I don't want to overexert myself, like trying to go for the finish, because like you weren't able to finish them, and I'm sure that kind of went through your head, being like, man, like what do I got to do to win this fight?
Yeah, I don't know. It just, man, I was, my corner did such a great job of keeping me focused. Like I obviously I could have been hard on myself and been like, oh, I'm not gonna have cardio. Oh, this dude's it's a higher weight class. Oh, it's a 10 days notice. Like I was tearing myself apart already mentally, but my corner was like, nah, this is your time, dude. Like you're a machine in the room. You never get tired. Like you're always on. Even if I take couple days off, like my body's just there. It's conditioned very well. It's done. I'm doing a great job up here, and the altitude of staying conditioned. I'm always seeing my strength and conditioning coach, Aaron Porter. So it's like, man, like it just fell in the right place, and then I'm just helping camp with all the other 55ers like Justin Gaethje, Drew Dober. So it was like, man, I'm like obviously it's not a 45 fight, but I was like, man, I'm ready for like whatever at 155 right now.
Did you get to celebrate after the fight? How did you? What did you get up to post fight, other than obviously doing the media and the medicals and all that?
Honestly, I'm not a big crowd person. I'm not a big talker. Like even doing this, I wasn't big on that. So like right after the fight, I knew I had to get my stuff, get to the hotel, fresh up, get some new clothes, and then I went to like a restaurant with my corner, my girlfriend and her family, and then we watched the rest of the fights. And obviously, people there at the restaurant didn't know me, so I was like, all right, cool. I get to chill, enjoy it, and it really intake it. Like I had some moments of crying because like it kind of sucks not to call my mom and tell her like, hey, we did it. I'm in the UFC. You were right. If you keep chasing, keep grinding, you're gonna make it. You're gonna do what you always wanted to do, and it's just, it's just in taking it. I called my father, I called my brother, my sister. Got those kind of talks away because I knew right after, like my phone was blowing up. Like it was hard to like even text because everything just started going. I was like, all right, well, so I started calling. So yeah, man, I lay back. I'm not a big club scene kind of guy. I don't
No,
like going and get drunk. Yeah, like especially after all the bruising. I know alcohol is not good for your soreness and all that stuff. So yeah, man, it was just more of, thanking God, thanking everybody in my corner, my friends, my teammates, and then just get home and get ready for the next one.
You mentioned getting a lot of messages, and you train with a lot of really notable fighters. You mentioned their Gaethje and all them. Like, was there one message that maybe stood out? What's like a message that you kind of think back on? Someone maybe congratulating you on the win that kind of really stood out to you?
The one that really did hit me was my father's text. He like it was rough. It was always rough for him to watch me fight. He didn't want me to fight. He was more of like, hey man, let's take different routes, and I think he was letting other people get in his head. My dad never was a guy of like, oh, you should do something else kind of idea. Like he was always about chase your dreams, do these things. But after my mother's passing, kind of a lot of things started shifting, changing. So like just my dad's text of he was proud of me, kind of hit in ways that I can't even explain. It's just that, I think every son, daughter kind of wants to die with that fact of like they made their father or mother proud.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's great. And surprised you didn't get a bonus.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Come on, man. Yeah. Obviously I was like super surprised, but I was more happy that I got to have the opportunity to be in the UFC, be in that spotlight, show everybody a little taste of who I am. Because man, if I had a full camp, a full fight camp, a whole, one opponent to stay focused to, on. And I think I would have put a lot more cooler stuff out there, but I was glad to put on the show that I did, and hopefully that one at least runs for like the fight of the year. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it certainly did, man. I mean, again, I guarantee you gained so many new fans from just that fight, the performance, everything as well. I know fighters aren't allowed to bet on themselves now because of that whole controversy last year, but there must have been some people messaging you that they had won some money because you were a pretty decent underdog going into the fight. I don't know if you heard any of that.
Yeah, no, man. Like I was saying, like my phone started blowing up. People want to take me out to eat. Hey, man, let's go on a vacation. I want a good chunk of money. It was wild. I couldn't
You're like,
believe
yeah, but
the
you got to take
amount.
my girlfriend with me, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
It was like I didn't even get to respond to a bunch of them, but a bunch of guys like had like these wild bets, man. They were betting up to grands like of money on me, and I was just like, I'm glad I knew after the fight. I don't know about if I knew before the fight, but yeah, it's just people won a bunch of money, and I was good, or won on their parlays, and I knew I killed a bunch of people's parlay. They would screenshotting their parlay and sending it to me, and I was the only one that messed up their whole parlay. And I was like, wow,
There you go. The
that's
parlay
pretty. I was
killer.
like,
We should change your nickname, So
yeah, right.
yeah,
True,
exactly.
true.
That's good. So I imagine the plan is to go back down to featherweight for the next fight, right?
Yeah, for sure. Full camp. Another good, hopefully another good opponent, another fun fighter. And then hopefully just have fun doing that, and seeing what's up. A full fight camp, another obviously a lower weight class, a better game plan, I guess, more of a strategy, and I just can't wait for sure.
Any opponents in mind, or you kind of leave that up to your management and your coaches and stuff?
I leave it to them. I really, I used to be a hunter. I used to be like, okay, this is the guy. But like after the Yusuf Zalal fight that was years ago, it was like, man, I'll fight anybody at this point. I was just like, I don't care. Like I even training with all these top guys and then watching them in the room and then saying like, man, I'm like, man, I am not afraid of anybody. I'll fight anybody. Like whoever they put in front of me, like even all these undefeated guys, you know, I just if they like, you know, I think I've done whatever I can to get all the fear out now. You know, like I definitely had the jitters at first, but now I'm like, man, the confidence. After that win, I was just like, oh, everybody's fucked up. Like I'm coming now. It's my time, you know. And if we're like whoever whoever wants to fight me, man, they just got to be ready, you know.
Yeah. When do you want to fight? When would like UFC comes to you and they're like, hey man, you can pick any time you want to come back. When would you like to get that next one?
Hopefully August or September. Like I didn't take any crazy damage. Obviously, I got a little bumps and bruises, but I'm seeing already a specialist to like for like cold plunging and all this. I mean, not cold plunging. We call it for the ice baths. There you go, ice
Okay.
baths and little therapy. You know, like things like that. So I could just. I want to be back in the room next week. I wanted to be back yesterday. I went to sparring and I was like, man, I get back in there, and then my corner was like, hey, like let's give it a couple of days. If anything, like Friday, we come and hit some mitts and move around. But yeah, definitely Monday next week is I'm definitely jumping back in.
Is August 5th too soon? And the reason I bring that up is obviously your buddy there, Corey Sandhagen, going to be headlining that card in Nashville.
Nah, man, that'd be awesome to even be with Corey. That would be even a more awesome, you know, card. You know, just because, you know, there's me and then there's him. He's always has an amazing, great fights. I've been seeing him in the room. He's been, man, he's a dog. He's. I can't wait to see his fight. He's training hard. Yeah, see him at, man. Like I was the guy that was always first in the gym. Now I feel like I'm racing him to the gym. You know, like we were just there 2 hours early, an hour early. We're working. You know, he's got his corner. I got my corner. You know, they're watching their film. I was watching film for you know, for other opponents because I just thought I needed more fights in the regional scene to get into UFC, but I got into UFC, so I was like, man, this is just great. Now I get to jump in that same schedule, and then, yeah, just that'd be awesome. Yeah, August 5th, if somebody slips up, if I feel good and if there's a 55 and he's fun, I might as well try to take it.
Yeah, card looks a little full, but I'm just looking right now. They got a featherweight fight on there. They've got a 55 fight on there. Yeah, so there might be some options there. There's a couple featherweight fights actually on there, which is I think there's a couple. So maybe that'll the stars will align and that'll happen. Okay, before we go again, I don't want to take up too much of your time here. What does the rest of the week look like? What do you got planned? You mentioned getting back in the gym. Are you and the girlfriend going out for a nice dinner or something, or what are you getting up to?
So like right after my fight, I flew out to Philly. My son lives in Philly, and I went
cool.
and picked him up, and I had this crazy trip back to Denver because of the life. I mean, like flights were delayed and all this stuff. So I never got to recover. My body was always in the air, and then my son likes to wrestle and run around. So I was like, man, all right, you know, no better feeling for sure. So right now it's spending time with my son, my girlfriend, taking them out to eat, whatever they want, you know, kind of idea, you know, like right now I'm living the dream. You know, now I'm with my people. I got to go see all my friends at sparring yesterday. So it was cool to get that out of the way and thank them all and my coaches, the team, everything. So yeah, it's just, you know, giving them a little bit of time. I know I got to like Saturday, Sunday to like really like, hey, like, all right, you guys got what you got. So now Monday I got to get back to work, you know.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're going to be helping Gaethje as well. Like you mentioned, he's got his fight coming up with Dustin Poirier here pretty soon, right? So.
Yeah, for sure. If my coaches let me, you know, I just got out of.
Oh, that too. Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Yeah,
you know.
I did. It was not glancing over the fact you were in a war, you know, this past weekend. That's for sure, right?
Yeah,
so,
no, trust me, I love helping him out just because it's, you know, we got Trevor Whitman there, who's, you know, he gives Gaethje his little coaching, and then he'll come by me and he's like, man, Chepe, I love it. Thank you for this, and you know, and it just, you know. Having a coach like that around too is pretty dope, you know, like to give me a little like you know, I like to call it cheat codes, you know, of my angles and everything else, or what I can do better. So it's like, man, it's just I'll definitely see you next Friday if I can slip in there, you know, if the coaches let me. But yeah, man, I'm just ready to help everybody else out. So yeah.
It's good. Chepe, congrats on the win, man. Looking forward to the next one. If there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, sponsors, social media, anything like that, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, man, I'd just like to thank my, my team, my Elevation Fight team. I like to thank my corner, my family, the sponsors that know who they are, and yeah, my management team for giving me the opportunity.